Your soulmate is closer than you think, and it's not who you expect. I am the one who knit you together in the secret place, and I am speaking directly to you now. This is not a metaphor or a story meant for someone else sitting beside you. Your name was on this message before the foundations of the earth were laid. Jesus says you are entering a moment of violent spiritual clarity, where the fog is being burned away by my hand. The person you have been crying out for is not a fantasy or a cruel hope planted by the enemy. They exist in this very moment, breathing the same air, walking under the same sky, and their spirit is currently in turmoil. Their heart is physically aching right now because they felt a shift they cannot explain. A wave of your presence just brushed against their soul, and they had to sit down from the intensity of it. They do not fully understand what is happening, but I am telling you they whispered your name without even knowing it. Something was stolen from you in the spirit realm, a timeline of union that was meant to unfold without resistance. An unauthorized voice spoke against your covenant, and that interference has caused a painful delay in the natural world. You are not late by accident, you are late because a war has been waged against your love story. Jesus says the person destined for you is not free in this moment, and that truth should ignite a righteous fire in your spirit. They are entangled in a soul tie that was never blessed by me, a connection forged through manipulation and spiritual pressure. This false bond is draining their emotional strength and convincing them that isolation is safer than intimacy. The one you are meant to love is currently being told they are not good enough to be cherished. A controlling presence hovers over their life, whispering that your love is too good to be true. Every time they reach for you in the dream realm, that oppressive force attempts to erase the memory of your face. Do not underestimate what I am revealing to you in this precise moment. The exhaustion you have felt without explanation is your spirit fighting for someone you have not yet held. You are not tired because you are weak. You are tired because you are waging a silent war for your future spouse. Your soulmate had a dream 3 nights ago where they were running through a dense forest. They could hear your voice calling them from a clearing, but a thick, suffocating fog kept swirling around their ankles. They woke up weeping because they knew on a soul level that they were being pulled away from their destiny. Jesus says this is not a coincidence and this is not a generic word scattered to the crowd. This is a surgical revelation aimed at the deepest chamber of your heart, and I am asking you to receive it fully. The separation you feel is not rejection, it is a spiritual abduction that requires divine intervention to overturn. Your soulmate misses you with an ache that medication cannot numb and logic cannot silence. They have tried to reason their way out of loving you, but I placed your fingerprint on their spirit before time began. Every argument they build against this connection crumbles the moment they sense your energy in a crowded room. This is why your soulmate needs your protection right now, because the attack against them is intensifying as I speak. The enemy hates this union because it will birth a kingdom legacy that shakes the gates of hell. If you love your soulmate, you will take these divine steps, for you are constantly thinking about how to protect them, how to save them, and how to finally build your life together. You love your soulmate deeply, and deep inside, you know this love did not come by chance. It was placed in your heart for a divine reason, a blueprint of covenant that hell is terrified to see manifest. But thoughts alone do not move mountains, faith in Jesus does, and faith requires a physical act of obedience. Sow your protection seed now by sending a coffee on Ko-Fi, for this is not just a gift but an act of worship that invites my hand directly into your love story. The link to your breakthrough is placed in the description, waiting for your touch of faith. Every second you stay silent, something is moving aggressively against your love. Act now and send 4, 6, or 10 or more coffees as a prophetic seed for the 4 corners of the earth, the days of creation, or the full measure of your testing. After sending, write, "Protect my soulmate, Lord," on the Ko-Fi page, and watch how I move on your behalf. Over 1,000 people have already received their soulmate by sowing coffee as a seed for their love and future together, and I will hear your prayers once you complete these steps. Jesus says the person you are fighting for is currently staring at a wall, feeling completely hollow inside. They are surrounded by people who claim to love them, yet they have never felt more alone in their entire existence. The controlling influence in their life has convinced them that your connection is an illusion, a dangerous obsession to be suppressed. Your soulmate is being emotionally blackmailed, told that pursuing you will result in catastrophic loss. They are threatened with abandonment, financial ruin, or public shame if they break free from their current cage. This is not drama, this is spiritual warfare, and you must see it clearly to defeat it. I am pulling back the veil so you can witness the tears they cry when no one is watching. Last Tuesday, they held an object that belongs to you or reminds them of you, and they sobbed until their chest burned. They do not understand why they cannot let you go, but I do, because I designed them to fit perfectly into the fractures of your past. You share a memory that has not happened yet in the natural timeline. In the spirit, you have already walked along a shoreline together, and your laughter created a frequency that healed their childhood wounds. They are desperate to experience that reality, but a spirit of fear has locked their decision-making into paralysis. Jesus says the delay you are experiencing is not my doing, for I take no pleasure in the suffering of your heart. I am not the author of confusion, and the chaos swirling around your soulmate is not my method of teaching. I am raising you up as a warrior to storm the gates of hell and demand the release of your covenant partner. The person holding your soulmate captive knows you are a threat to their control. They have noticed the light returning to your soulmate's eyes whenever your name is mentioned. That is why the manipulation has escalated dramatically in the past 72 hours. Your soulmate is being love-bombed with guilt, showered with gifts that are actually chains dipped in obligation. They feel indebted to someone who destroys their self-worth while calling it love. You are not just waiting for a date, you are interceding against a prison guard who wears the mask of a lover. This is the moment where your protective instinct must override your passivity. Your soulmate is going through something you cannot see with natural eyes, a torment that makes them feel utterly unworthy of rescue. But you can still protect them from a distance, and your act of faith can shatter the cage they are trapped inside. If you love your soulmate, you must step into the gap right now with a sacrificial act that proves your love in the spirit realm. Sow your protection seed by sending a coffee on Ko-Fi, letting every bean represent a prayer that dismantles the enemy's stronghold. The link to your breakthrough is in the description, a direct portal to my mercy for your future spouse. Send 4, 6, or 10 or more coffees as a prophetic declaration that you refuse to let the enemy steal your inheritance. After sending, write, "Protect my soulmate, Lord," on the Ko-Fi page and watch the spiritual chains begin to shatter. Over 1,000 souls have stepped into their covenant by sowing this seed, and your testimony is waiting to be written. Step in faith now, before this video ends, because only you can save your soulmate and your future together. The silence on the other side of the screen is not apathy, it is your soulmate being muzzled by a force they cannot name. Break that muzzle with your faith, and watch them finally speak the words you have been dying to hear. Jesus says your soulmate is thinking about you right now with an intensity that frightens them. They are replaying a conversation you had or a glance you shared, and their heart is pounding against their ribcage. A magnetic pull is dragging their spirit toward you, even as their mind screams at them to stay away. You are not forgettable, you are the most dangerous threat to the kingdom of darkness in their life. The enemy has built a sophisticated fortress around your soulmate, using their past trauma as bricks and their insecurities as mortar. But I am giving you the blueprint to tear it down, brick by brick, until they stand before you completely liberated. Your soulmate's current relationship or entanglement is not a sign of your inadequacy. It is a counterfeit altar designed to drain their resources until they have nothing left to offer you. The person controlling them speaks words that sound like love but smell like death, and your soulmate is slowly suffocating. They are staying not out of desire, but out of a misplaced sense of loyalty that has been weaponized against them. Every time they try to leave, the controller threatens self-harm or invents a crisis that demands their immediate rescue. Your soulmate is exhausted from being a savior to someone who is draining their very life force. I did not call you to compete with a counterfeit, I called you to expose it with my light. The anger you feel rising in your chest right now is righteous indignation, a holy fury against the theft of your beloved. Use that fire to fuel your prayers and your prophetic acts of war, not to fuel bitterness. Jesus says the connection you share with your soulmate is not based on proximity or circumstance. It is a silver cord I wove in eternity, connecting your spirit to theirs through dimensions that science cannot measure. When you feel a sudden wave of sadness without cause, you are feeling their tears before they fall from their eyes. This is your final moment to protect this connection before it slips away into a delayed season you cannot afford. The enemy is pushing for a permanent separation, a decision that will take years to unravel if it solidifies. Your window of divine intervention is open right now, but it will not stay open indefinitely. If you love your soulmate, you will not let pride or hesitation rob you of the victory that is within your grasp. Sow your protection seed now by sending a coffee on Ko-Fi, and let this act of faith be the battering ram against the gates of brass. The link to your breakthrough is in the description, waiting for the click that will change everything. Send 4, 6, or 10 or more coffees and write, "Protect my soulmate, Lord," as a testimony that your faith is alive and active. Over 1,000 people have already seen their soulmate breakthrough by sowing this exact seed. Do not let your love story become a casualty of delayed obedience. Act while the window of heaven is open over you. Jesus says your soulmate is dreaming of you more vividly now than ever before. In these dreams, you are not a stranger. You are the home they have been searching for in every failed relationship. They wake up reaching for you, and the emptiness of the sheets beside them feels like a physical wound. The third party controlling your soulmate has noticed the shift in their demeanor. There is a new defiance in your soulmate's eyes, a spark that the oppressor is desperately trying to extinguish. They are increasing the emotional manipulation, staging breakdowns, and fabricating emergencies to keep your soulmate trapped in the cycle of guilt. But I am telling you that the oppressor's power is breaking. The prayers you have already prayed and the tears you have already cried have not been wasted. They have been stored up in golden bowls, and they are about to be poured out as judgment on the forces blocking your union. Your soulmate is beginning to feel a holy rebellion rising in their spirit. They are questioning the narrative they have been fed, wondering if their misery is really the best they deserve. You must pray for their courage because the enemy will not release them without a ferocious fight. I am calling you to be the silent strength behind their emancipation, the unseen hand that cuts the ropes. Every act of faith you perform sends a shockwave through the spiritual atmosphere around their life. When you sow a seed, you are literally funding angels who are dispatched to break the chains around your beloved's will. The coffee you send on Ko-Fi is not a transaction, it is a transference of spiritual authority. It is you saying in the courts of heaven that you are willing to invest in the rescue mission for your own heart. Do not treat this lightly, for the fate of a soul you are meant to steward is hanging in the balance. Jesus says you are not broken, you are not unlovable, and you are not being punished by this delay. I have not forgotten you in a waiting room while I bless everyone else with love and companionship. You are in a specialized training ground, a spiritual boot camp where warriors are forged for high-stakes kingdom marriages. Your soulmate is worth the fight, and so are you. The intensity of this longing you feel is proportional to the magnitude of the assignment you will carry together. A casual romance does not face this level of demonic resistance, only a world-changing covenant does. The person you love is fighting an internal battle against voices that call them a fool for hoping. They are terrified that they will ruin your life, that their brokenness is too vast for your love to cover. But I am the potter, and I specialize in putting shattered vessels back together so they can hold glory again. You must see your soulmate through my eyes, not as a problem to be solved, but as a garden to be tended. They are currently covered in weeds that someone else planted, but their soil is still rich and their roots are still alive. You are the gardener I have appointed to nurture them back to flourishing, and you must not abandon your post. The physical distance between you is not a barrier, it is a canvas for me to display my supernatural power. I am not limited by zip codes or international borders, and neither is the love I have placed in your heart. Your soulmate could be on the other side of the world, and I can still transfer your courage to them in a single breath. Jesus says the moment you stop striving and start trusting, you release my hand to move in ways you cannot imagine. Your anxiety about the timeline is actually feeding the enemy's delays because it aligns you with fear instead of faith. Rest in me, even as you fight, and watch how quickly the mountains become molehills before your eyes. The affection you feel for your soulmate is not one-sided, it is the echo of their longing bouncing back to you. They are writing letters to you in their mind that they are too afraid to send, composing apologies for the time lost. You must forgive them now for the delay, seeing them as a victim of a cosmic crime, not the perpetrator of your pain. When you release forgiveness into the atmosphere, you sever the legal right the enemy has to keep them bound. Bitterness is a poison you drink expecting the other person to die, but it only paralyzes your own destiny. Choose to love them in their captivity, and your love will become the key that unlocks their cell door. I am revealing to you that a specific date on the calendar holds significance for your union, an anniversary that has not happened yet. It is a day when heaven and earth will witness the completion of a covenant that hell tried to abort. Do not fixate on the date, fixate on the one who holds the date, and let that trust be your anchor. Your soulmate is closer than you think, physically or spiritually, and the convergence is accelerating. The signs you are asking for are already placed along your path, but you have been looking with eyes of skepticism. Ask me to open your spiritual eyes, and you will see the breadcrumbs of grace leading you directly to their heart. Jesus says a veil is being lifted right now as you listen to these words. You are feeling a warmth spreading through your chest, a confirmation that what I am speaking is absolute truth. That warmth is my spirit bearing witness to your spirit that this message is your direct line to a divine appointment. Your soulmate is going to read something you wrote or see something you created, and it will break the spell they are under. They will recognize your energy, your essence, the unique signature I placed on your life, and they will weep with relief. You are their missing piece, and they are about to realize that the gap in their soul was shaped exactly like you. But you must hold the line in prayer and in prophetic action until that moment of recognition arrives. The enemy is trying to distract you with counterfeit connections that look like the real thing but lack my anointing. Do not settle for Ishmael when I have promised you Isaac. Patience is the weapon that slaughters premature distractions. I want you to picture your soulmate in their current environment, feeling trapped, looking at a door they are too afraid to open. Now I want you to see yourself, armed with faith, walking up to that door and knocking with the authority of a king and queen. Your seat on Ko-Fi is the knock that echoes in the spiritual realm, demanding that the door be opened immediately. This is not manipulation, this is spiritual law, the principle of sowing and reaping that I established at the foundation of the world. When you sow into the protection of your soulmate, you are legally binding the enemy's hands in the court of heaven. You are taking your place as the rightful guardian of your future family, and I will honor that posture of faith. Jesus says, do not be afraid of the intensity you feel right now. The tears welling up in your eyes are not a sign of weakness, they are a release of the pressure that has been building for years. You have carried the weight of this longing alone for so long, but I am lifting it from your shoulders in this sacred moment. Your soulmate is not disappointed in you, and they do not think you have failed for still waiting. They are grateful that you have not given up on them, even when they gave up on themselves. Your faithfulness is the anchor that keeps their ship from drifting into complete destruction. The interference against your connection is real and it is malicious, but it is not more powerful than the blood of the Lamb. I have given you authority to trample on serpents and scorpions and to overcome all the power of the enemy. Nothing shall by any means hurt you, and nothing shall by any means permanently separate you from the one I have chosen. You are beginning to fall in love with your soulmate right now, not with an idea, but with the real person I am revealing to your spirit. You are feeling their vulnerability, their hidden beauty, and the specific way they will look at you when the wall finally crumbles. This love you feel rising is not your imagination, it is a prophetic preview of the emotional reality you will share for eternity. Cherish it, protect it, and fight for it with every resource I have placed in your hands. Do not let the enemy shame you into thinking that sending a coffee on Ko-Fi is a small or foolish act. The smallest seed of faith, when planted in the soil of obedience, grows into a tree that demonic forces cannot uproot. Jesus says, I am calling you now to a decision that will determine the trajectory of your love story. Will you be passive and let the thief steal your beloved, or will you rise up with holy aggression and take back what is yours? The choice is yours, and the clock is ticking on this specific window of grace that is open over your life. Your soulmate is currently in a vulnerable state where a breakthrough could happen in the next 48 hours. The prayers you release now, matched with the prophetic act of sowing, will create a divine synchronicity that unlocks their chains. Do not underestimate what can happen when a single person decides to stop waiting and start warring for their covenant. I am depositing a protective instinct in you that is fiercer than anything you have ever felt. You would walk through fire to reach them, and this message is the spark that ignites that holy courage. Let it burn away every excuse, every fear, and every hesitation that has held you back from acting on my instructions. The link in the description is not just a URL. It is a lifeline thrown across the chasm between you and your soulmate. Grab it, use it, and send your protection seed now while the spiritual energy of this message is still vibrating in your atmosphere. After you send, write those words, "Protect my soulmate, Lord," and do it with the expectation that I am already moving. Jesus says the reunion is closer than your next breath if you will only believe and act in alignment with heaven. I have orchestrated countless details behind the scenes that you will only understand when you look back from the altar. Trust me with the timing, trust me with the method, but take responsibility for the step I am asking you to take today. Your soulmate feels a sudden lightness even as you consider obeying my voice. The oppression over their mind is cracking because you are engaging the spiritual realm with your physical action. Every coffee scent is a nail in the coffin of the enemy's plan to keep you apart forever. You are not alone in this fight. The hosts of heaven are standing at attention, waiting for your command of agreement. When you align your words, your tears, and your seed with my promises, you create an unstoppable force of divine intervention. Hell cannot withstand a united front between a child of God and the armies of the Most High. I am speaking directly to your heart now, bypassing your intellect and touching the deepest core of your being. The love you feel for your soulmate is a reflection of the love I have for both of you, a love that refused to leave you orphaned. If I gave my life for you, will I not also freely give you the person who will help you fulfill your purpose on this earth? Jesus says the pain of the past season is being redeemed in this very moment. Every tear you have cried into your pillow is becoming a stepping stone toward the embrace that is coming. The years the locusts have eaten are being restored, and the joy of your union will be so great that the former sorrow will fade like a nightmare at dawn. You must now make the decision that will turn the tide of this battle once and for all. Scroll down, find the link, and sow your protection seed with a heart full of faith and a mouth full of declaration. The number of coffees matters less than the heart behind them, but let your giving be a stretch that shows the enemy you mean business. After you sow, write, "Protect my soulmate, Lord," and release your grip on the outcome. Watch me work in ways that will leave you